Thanks, Jane. You're watching South East Today. Our top story tonight. We're fighting a losing battle. Shopkeepers talk of the unrelenting rise in shoplifting to record levels. Juliet has more on this for us tonight. She's live in Brighton. Human waste streaming through the streets. Residents of a Kent housing estate say their health is at risk. Teaching teeth brushing at school, as figures reveal a quarter of 5-year-olds have tooth decay. And described by some as the greatest guitarist of his generation, Suede's Bernard Butler talks to us about his first new solo album for 25 years. Hello, welcome to the programme. I'm Ellie Crilsell. A record amount of goods are being stolen from shops across the southeast, with Surrey and Sussex seeing a 50% surge in shoplifting. Traders have spoken of their despair over the rise, saying they're fighting a losing battle, with thieves adopting increasingly sophisticated tactics. Reports of the crime have reached their highest levels since records began. Today, shopkeepers, trade bodies and politicians told this programme that shoplifters are becoming more calculated, as Juliet Parkin reports.
It's become a constant nightmare for traders. The brazen shoplifting of goods that leaves retailers financially and emotionally scarred. We're facing an epidemic of retail crime, according to one trade union. Tough times, especially for independent businesses trying to stay afloat. This clothes shop in central Brighton sells vintage brands, which are an attractive target for thieves. The financial loss hits hard, but the impact goes beyond that.
Our mental health is affected because it comes with anxiety and a lot of stress as well. Don't feel secure coming back to work, and we are scared of repercussions. So, if we were to chase someone down the street, or we're scared that someone would come back at night and do the window or something like this. So it's very anxiety indulgent for us when this sort of incidents happen.
Many traders in this community feel let down by the police.
They either come really late, 3 hours late, when the person that was trying to steal or store something is just already gone. And most of the time it's they try to minimize the problem, saying that you're not being physically harmed or something like that. It feels a bit gaslighting us as business owners.
Food shops too are seeing profits increasingly fall into the pockets of shoplifters. Cooperative store Infinity Foods has been in business for over 50 years and has seen rising cases of criminal behaviour.
It's actually been really prevalent for a really long time. I've worked here for coming up to a decade, and the whole time I've worked here, it's always been a constant thing we've had to battle with. But in the recent years, there's definitely been a bit of an uptick, mainly more on sort of aggressive behaviour and prickly behaviour from customers as well. The last 10 years of austerity and cuts has meant that the police aren't able to probably act as much as they would like to, as if they can't. They probably only focus really on violent crimes. It'd be great to see a response, but you don't really get it.
Figures from the Office for National Statistics show a significant increase in shoplifting across the southeast. A 53% rise in Surrey, 48% in Sussex and 18% in Kent. Traders in St James's Street in Brighton are frequently targeted.
Where there's repeated antisocial behaviour and serious crime and attacks on shop workers, the police should be intervening on that, and the police should be helping to prevent it. As I say, it's not just, you can't just arrest your way out of this problem. It is a bigger challenge around rehabilitation and around protection and monitoring, but there needs to be better police presence around here.
The message from Sussex is, yes, crime reporting is up, so I'm pleased with that because it shows my retailers are more confident. But on the other side, we're also not tolerating shoplifting. It is not a low-level crime, and we will come after you in Sussex.
Traders say they're proud to be part of this bustling, vibrant business community, but many are counting the rising cost of crime.
Well, Juliet is in Brighton for us this evening. Juliet, we heard from the Police and Crime Commissioner there, but how are Sussex Police tackling this?
Well, the force told us today that it is a key priority and say they've set up a dedicated business crime team using intelligence to take prolific offenders off the streets. They also say they've invested in making reporting crime as easy as possible, connected, they say, to this increase in the number of reports. Well, the MP that you heard from there in my report is calling for an increased police presence, but he also says we need to go deeper than that to tackle the root causes. He's calling for an offender to rehab scheme rather than prison. He says he also wants to make streets no drinking zones and bring in more CCTV. Well, at the moment, as well as losing money through shoplifting, traders are also having to spend more of their own money on increased security. It's not a sustainable situation for our high streets.
Juliet, thank you. Residents of a Kent housing estate say they're living alongside raw sewage in the streets, putting their health at risk as human waste is repeatedly pumped through their area of new-build homes. Homeowners say the development in Whitstable has been plagued by rats, with the sewage system so blocked that soiled tissues and human excrement regularly stream through the streets. Leanne Rennie reports.
Running down the road.
Human waste and soiled toilet tissue flowing through the streets of a newly built family housing estate. The shocking images were filmed by Lee Hawkins, who lives opposite the new development with her 2 young children.
It made me feel really sick. You know, I don't want to go on a morning Sunday walk with my dog and come across human excrement all over the road, running all the way down the pavement, all the way down into the freshwater drain. There's rats everywhere where it's just constantly overflowing. They're in my garden. My dogs have got a couple. They just run round by the bins. And then obviously people are walking through it and then they're walking into their homes. God knows what's on what germs are there.
The new Whitstable Heights development is expected to be made up of 400 homes when it's complete. In a statement today, a spokesperson for the Hyde Group Housing Association said, "We know how distressing this has been for customers, which is why we've investigated this issue quickly. The cause was traced back to a specific blockage caused by nappies, wipes and sanitary products. Unfortunately, there have been 3 similar incidents over the last couple of years."
In England and Wales, we get about 300,000 blockages every year caused by primarily things that people flush down their toilet that they shouldn't do, such as wet wipes, nappies and period products, and also what they flush down the sink. So in terms of fat oils, grease, cooking fat oils, grease, which cause fatbergs.
Hyde Homes say the drains are now functioning normally again, and they say they're reminding the local community to dispose of rubbish in the correct way. But Lee says she's concerned it could happen again, especially if it rains heavily, and says she's worried about whether it's safe to let her children play outside. Leanne Rennie, BBC South East Today, Whitstable.
On the week, French rescue vessels pulled the bodies of 3 people from the English Channel. The Dover-based migrant charity Samfire says they're on the brink of closure. Samfire is one of the country's leading refugee charities and has helped a number of migrants who've arrived in the UK via small boats. The charity says it's facing major financial difficulties and may have to give up its offices and lay people off. Peter Whittlesey has this report.
This footage from a BBC investigation highlights a significant German connection in the human smuggling trade across the English Channel. It's here in Essen where inflatable dinghies are stored and sold to criminal gangs. They're then delivered to order to the beaches of northern France.
These gangs do move, but they've been operating right across Europe and beyond for quite a long time. And I know Europol's been working on this, and at the time when we were in the European Union, they were working on this. So I think it's another instance, this discovery in Germany of another gang doing very large-scale people smuggling operations. And it just really underlines that this is a global problem that cuts right across borders, which needs international solutions.
This year is already the deadliest for migrant channel crossings. Those who lost their lives were remembered in this vigil in Calais.
What celebrations can you think of that are enjoyed by different cultures or different religions during winter?
Refugee, asylum seeker and migrant children have the right to an education. They form part of the school community at Charlton Primary in Dover. But the charity Samfire that's been helping schools to integrate youngsters is facing closure because of financial pressures.
Social causes and charities are struggling all over. The money just isn't there anymore. There's more social causes fighting for the same pots of money, so it's very competitive. Our cause is less attractive than other causes as well, so we don't necessarily attract quite as much independent donations. We're very grant-based.
Charlton Primary describes itself as a school of sanctuary, with 15 different languages being spoken by children here, so being different is normal.
The children here are very nice and kind, and we play with them on the playground. We make sure everybody has a friend.
It's really interesting to know what backgrounds they have, because it could be anything what backgrounds they have.
We're like a welcoming school. We invite everyone from different cultures into our school.
Being friends with and knowing the stories of migrant and refugee children gives a unique insight into how families are exploited by the cross-channel people smuggling gangs.
Well, Peter joins us now from Folkestone. Peter, if Samfire Charity does have to close or downsize even, what impact would that have?
Well, first of all, Samfire says they hope no more small boats arrive in this country, but they say by the fact that 28,000 people have arrived this year so far, they believe that's unlikely to happen. They say when refugees or migrants arrive, they have rights, yet those agencies that are meant to support them are overstretched or under-resourced, and they say that's where they come in, through their community groups, through their school workshops. And they say that what they do is they help to support migrants, and they also help to integrate and cause social cohesion through the work they do. And quite simply, they say if they go bust, those challenging issues will become even more difficult to solve.
Peter, thank you. A driver has pleaded guilty to causing the death of 3 men in a collision in Eastbourne. Robbie Cook was charged with 3 counts of causing death by dangerous driving and 1 count of perverting the course of justice. 3 men from Berkshire were killed in the crash, which happened in the Hampden Park area in February last year. A man's been charged with murdering a 54-year-old who went missing from Tunbridge Wells. Wayne Woodgate was last seen entering a van in Goods Station Road on October 17th. His body was found on Wednesday in Peasmarsh. Police say 59-year-old Stephen Castle has been charged with murder. 2 rogue traders who told vulnerable people in Kent and London that they needed to pay for roof and chimney repairs have been ordered to pay back more than £100,000. Police say Sunny Morn and Emmanuel Scarrett charged extortionate prices and their work damaged properties. There are fresh tributes this weekend to a young jockey who was killed at a racecourse in Kent when his horse ran into the side of a jump at a point-to-point. 25-year-old Keegan Kirkby died at Charing Racecourse in February, and final preparations are underway tonight for a charity race day this weekend in his memory. Chrissy Reedy reports.
Keegan Kirkby was an amateur jockey, described by friends as having so much potential. But back in February, 25-year-old Keegan was killed as he took part in a point-to-point race here on this racecourse in Charing near Ashford. His horse veered off course and collided into a jump. Katie first met Keegan when they were both 8 years old.
He would always be there for you as a person.
They became close friends with a mutual love of horse racing.
He would get me on and try and teach me how to ride races. So I'd be so grateful for him for teaching me to do that, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing any of this now.
Keegan had worked for trainer Paul Nicholls.
He was a wonderful guy, wonderful team player for us. And he's missed by us and all his family. So just a day to celebrate really Keegan's life by having the charity racing the whole day is fantastic, and we've all got behind it, as is nearly everyone in racing. So it's going to be a good day.
Money raised from the Memorial Race Day this weekend will go towards both racing welfare and the Injured Jockey Fund.
We're delighted to be able to host that day and give back to the local community, and also have a venue that people can come together, and I think that day will put it all into play.
Katie says she's extremely proud the way the community has come together.
I would say if he was still here or looking down, he would probably be laughing, but he'll probably be very proud.
A day to celebrate Keegan Kirby's life and to remember a young man who is missed by so many. Chrissy Reedy, BBC South East Today.
It's just after 6:45. A reminder of our top story tonight. The relentless rise of shoplifting as crime levels reach their highest ever. Traders say they can't beat it. Also in tonight's programme. From non-swimmer to endurance triathlete, how a man from Eastbourne pushed himself to incredible feats to fundraise for men's mental health.
And British summertime is about to end, but actually this weekend will get brighter and sunnier with time. The full forecast later on in the programme.
Children in parts of Kent are being given supervised teeth brushing sessions at school. That comes as a survey suggests a quarter of 5-year-olds in the county have tooth decay. Nationally, 30,000 rotten teeth were removed from children in a year, with decay the reason for 2/3 of all extractions in children and young people. Now, after a successful pilot scheme resulting in a drop in that decay, Kent schools are being urged to get involved with the supervised brushing scheme. Our health correspondent Mark Norman reports.
Circle, round and round.
Every day after lunch break, pupils at the Oaks Infant School in Sittingbourne take part in supervised teeth brushing. It's now part of their routine and part of their education, supported by the NHS, Kent County Council, the school and, of course, their parents.
I think it's a very positive thing for them to do. It's a part of everyone's daily routine, you know, so to encourage them from a young age, I think, is really important. So why not?
We have seen benefit from it. So even though she was doing it well at home twice a day, she comes home and says, oh, and I must do this bit at the back and this bit here. So before we'd let her do it and we'd sort of have to finish it off, whereas now she can do it pretty much on her own.
When we found out that there is a program like this in the school, we were quite impressed, because that's going to, give him more, boost in encouraging himself to brush teeth regularly.
Supervised brushing was piloted last year and is now a full-time scheme in a number of schools across the county. Children's plaque levels were recorded at the start of the year and again after a year of supervised brushing, with noticeable improvements.
Various places in the UK that have been running successful supervised toothbrushing programmes, and they've shown to dramatically reduce the decay rates in children. So hopefully in an environment like schools, where they all learn together and the schools and the staff are so supportive, the children all learn from each other, and it really is the best way to help support them with their oral health.
I think it's all part of our job. Yes, of course, if parents are doing it at home, and lots of parents are doing it at home, that's great, but some parents aren't doing it at home, so that's part of our job, to fill those gaps and to make sure that everybody's having the same opportunity to have good oral health, and if that's what we can do in our early years, then that's what we're going to do.
And for these 6-year-olds, it's about creating habits that will hopefully last them a lifetime. So, who enjoys the teeth cleaning stuff? Who likes doing it? Hands up if you like doing it. Thank you. Well done. That's all 4 of you. Earlier this year, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, stated he's an advocate for supervised teeth brushing in schools. And after the success of this scheme, both the NHS and Kent County Council are keen for more schools to come forward to take part. Mark Norman, BBC South East Today, Sittingbourne.
Excellent teeth brushing. Time now for a look at Friday's Sports Desk. James is with us. The big event happening on Beachy Head this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. It is the Beachy Head Marathon. It is one of the toughest in the UK. It has got more elevation than the one that goes up Snowdon. And as people line up at the start, well, for one of the athletes, Toby Simmons, it's going to be the last leg of an even bigger challenge. He will swim over a mile in the sea. He'll ride 56 miles before the marathon, all to raise money for local mental health charity Mankind, because he says a similar one helped him in a time of crisis.
As 1,000 runners take to the start line of one of the country's toughest marathons tomorrow, Toby Simmons will already be 2/3 of the way through what he's calling his Iron Challenge.
I'm in the water at 4:30 in the morning, which is obviously pitch black. I'm doing a 1.9 kilometre sea swim, followed by a 90 kilometre road bike. Obviously, it's going to be dark as well, and the country roads around here are renowned for being sketchy at the best of times.
But still, this is far from the greatest challenge he's faced. After years working abroad, skiing and cycling, his mental health reached crisis point.
2018, I was living what could be only devised as the dream life. I was living on the east coast of Sardinia, but you know, the amount of work you're doing, the lack of sleep, the sort of push from drinking alcohol, and towards the end of that sort of time that I was working there, I tried to save my life on 2 separate occasions.
Men's mental health groups gave him a chance to talk through what he was going through and were instrumental in his recovery. Tomorrow he'll be raising money for Mankind, a support group for men in Eastbourne similar to those that helped him.
The guys sit down, you'll be surprised to hear, and we sit in a circle and we talk about our emotions. I do have 5 men that have joined the group that say they probably wouldn't be here had they not, and they're so brave. It takes a lot of courage to walk through our door and open up and put their trust in somebody, but they do on a weekly basis, and it's brilliant.
Thankfully, 2 unsuccessful attempts, and now I'm here today just a different person, and you know, I know anybody who's going through that can also get to that place, and hopefully I can be a demonstration of that for a lot of people.
It will be more than 80 miles tomorrow, but it's not about the physical challenge. The aim is to help others on their own journeys. Well, if you've been affected by the issues raised in my report, you can find details of organisations offering information and support at bbc.co.uk/actionline. Let's now take a look ahead at the football fixtures this weekend. Brighton and Hove Albion take on Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are currently bottom of the Premier League. In League One, Crawley Town travel to Northampton Town, hoping to build on that vital 3-0 win against Lincoln midweek. And in League Two, Gillingham go to Swindon Town, having lost their last 5 games, but Swindon are struggling to 22nd in the league. All the games kick off at 3 o'clock, and you can find commentary for those on your local BBC radio stations. Ellie.
Thank you very much, James. Thank you. Now, he's described by some critics as the greatest guitarist of his generation. Bernard Butler and the band Suede, of course, where he made his name, unwittingly helped start the Britpop movement with a string of hits in the early 90s. And since going solo in 94, Butler's career has gone from strength to strength. His new album, though, is his first for 25 years and takes the listener on a trip to Camber Sands. He told Charlie Rose he'll be positively encouraging fans to take out their phones at his gig in Hove next week.
It's arguably the breakthrough single that set Suede on the path to success. But the man who came up with these chords is not tempted by a trip down memory lane.
As a working artist, it'd be incredibly reductive of me to just be going on about the good old days. And you know, a lot of it wasn't that good, you know.
Bernard Butler split from Suede after making the band's second album, Dogman Star. It's now been 30 years since the record was released.
I pray that, you know, people get something out of it, and I'm grateful for that. And I also go off and listen to other music, you know, in the same way. But it's not my role to sit back, you know, polishing my trophies.
He just seems to have an uncanny ability to write hit songs. And for his first solo album in 25 years, we're taken on a trip to the seaside.
Just pack your bags, 'cause I'm taking you to Camber Sands.
It's not just about Camber Sands. Camber Sands was a good pick, you know, but really it's about the southeast coast of England and going around to East Anglia as well. And I'm a Londoner. The London experience is intense, noisy, and frenetic all of the time. It's hard to avoid that, but it's also hard to get away from it, you know, so you inevitably want to go to places that are the opposite. And when you go to coastlines, you see horizons represent opportunity, they represent freedom.
Clearly he hasn't visited Camber Sands on an August bank holiday weekend. But the coast should be much clearer for his gig in Hove next Wednesday, where fans will be encouraged to use their mobile phones.
I grew up on bootleg tapes where, you know, it was people smuggling recorders in and taking photographs and stuff if they could get away with it. And this is how I learned music. I love people recording me. I think it's such a huge privilege.
And one that helps audiences to remember the performance of an artist who doesn't look back. Charlie Rose, BBC South East Today, Central London.
Wonderful time now for a look at the weather. John Hammond is with us. The clock's going back, that means dark evenings.
Yeah, but brighter mornings, you know, look on the bright side, you know. Yes, honey, you're absolutely right. Autumn is closing in, is it not? A weekend of contrast lies ahead. It's been a day of contrast, actually, across the southeast. Beautiful sunshine, the further east you were across the region, but for many, actually, a bit gloomy, and the cloud has taken over in the last few hours. So, yeah, overcast and quite damp out there as we head into the evening and night. And that's the way we'll start the weekend as well. But things are looking up. Come Sunday, despite the fact the clocks go back, the sun will come out and it'll feel a bit more like it. So reasons to be cheerful later on this weekend. But yeah, a bit drab out there at the moment. Here's that cloud and some dampness in the air crossing its way west to east. It might ease off for a time, but I think as we head towards morning time, that cloud will thicken again with further dampness. It'll turn quite murky as well, particularly up over the high level routes. Watch out for that. And frankly, not a lot is going to change through tomorrow. We're stuck with that cloud. We're stuck with dribs and drabs of drizzly rain, and that mist will be loath to lift, but hopefully it will a little bit. Maybe a bit of brightness later on, but not much. 14 to 16 degrees, though, is again above par for the time of year. Bit of housekeeping, as you may be aware. The clocks go back early hours of Sunday morning, and actually Sunday morning will be a much drier, brighter affair, so get outside and enjoy it while you can. It's going to be a sparkling day, lots of lovely sunshine out there. Temperatures actually a notch or two down on Saturday's values, but with those rays of sunshine it'll feel a bit more like it, I think. But God, look at that sunset, 16:41. Yep, I'm afraid winter is not far away. Having said that, as we look through much of the week ahead, the orange suggests that it's going to stay pretty mild and pretty dry too. But watch this, whoosh, hints of a big change come next weekend. Could be a frosty fireworks party for you, but before that, dry and mostly mild. Best of the sunshine on Sunday.
Well, if it gets dark at 4:30, at least we have some sunshine beforehand. Yes. Thank you very much, John. That is it from all of us for the moment. Yesunde Yusuf is back with your late news at 10:30. Bye-bye.